Let's talk property and real estate. And new property data actually reveals the significant easing of restrictions. It's actually causing demand for inner city rentals to rise again. And Anne Flaherty, economist at REA Group, joins us now. Good morning to you, Anne. How are you? So let's start with the record number of people that certainly moved to the regions during the pandemic, which we've been speaking about for a number of years now. And this is significantly impacting property prices and also rents.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, with so many people having moved to the regions throughout the pandemic, this really upped the pressure on house prices in the regions. We don't have an enormous supply of regional properties. And so when we saw this influx of people into the regions, we saw extremely strong price growth. What we are now seeing is that as restrictions have eased, demand is starting to abate slightly. And in most of the fastest growing regions in the country, we're starting to see that price growth really come off the boil. Now, price growth isn't over yet. We are still seeing prices in the region move upwards, but the speeds at which they're moving upwards have slowed significantly. We're seeing this around Australia. So, in Western Australia, this is Bunbury would be an example. In Victoria, areas like the Mornington Peninsula and Geelong have started to see that level of price growth come down. And in New South Wales, we're seeing it as well in areas like the Shoalhaven, the Richmond Tweed area.
And what sort of an impact do you think we could have? There's certainly talk of about 4 interest rate rises over the next few months. I mean, what sort of pressure is this going to be like on people that have purchased a home and certainly for their mortgage?
Yeah, well, interestingly, even though the RBA haven't pulled the trigger yet on interest rates, the expectation that rates are going to rise is already impacting the market. So the big 4 banks, for example, now all predict a rate rise by June, and they're factoring that in. So since the end of last year, we've actually seen fixed interest rates begin to creep upwards. So they've been rising for 3-4 months now. We think as well that consumers are expecting an interest rate rise. And what that means is that people are already factoring in a potential rate rise into their decision making.
And let's talk about the regions again. So where are the places rather that the prices haven't slowed down?
Well, Queensland seems to be a bit of an exception at this point. So places like the Gold Coast and the Sunshine Coast, price growth still seems to be at that sort of peak level. It doesn't seem to be accelerating anymore, but it definitely seems to be growing strongly. I think Queensland might be in a bit of a different situation to the other states in that it saw more interstate migration into Queensland than any of the other states. So it looks like that while in some other regional areas around Australia, people may have temporarily moved, in Queensland, there are a lot of people that have made that switch permanently. And so we're still seeing extremely strong price growth and extremely strong competition for property.
Certainly seeing a lot of people reassessing their lives as well, aren't they? And just making those decisions perhaps a little bit earlier than what they may have anticipated. And capital cities certainly losing a lot of people during the pandemic. Is the demand for the inner city living returning at all?
We're definitely seeing it in the rental market. So across Australia, combined CBDs, we've seen a 27% increase in the number of people searching to rent properties in CBDs compared to 12 months ago. This is really, really evident in the Melbourne CBD, where the number of people searching to rent a property has actually increased by nearly 50% compared to 12 months ago. Now, these rises seem to coincide with, they started around mid-December, which was when the borders reopened to international students and migrants. And we're really seeing these people, I think, contributing to this demand for inner city living.
Always great to hear your analysis and your expertise. Anne Flaherty from REA Group, thank you very much. And we'll touch base with you again next week.